What's up y'all, Josh here. Today I thought I'd give you a few different tips on how to start using your voice differently when it comes to public speaking. I've seen some really interesting advice out there on how to speak in public. Some of it's speak like you're a police officer and people will pay attention. It's like, it's a little bit of the piece of the puzzle, but not the whole thing. So I wanted to go through a few different areas which you can start to improve on today and start focusing on so that you can sound like you're actually an expert when you present and like you are an authority and confident at the same time. So let's get into it. Now I'm going to be going through 5 different areas of your voice to start practicing and start using today. Now the first is going to be your rate of speech. This is pretty self-explanatory. It's how fast you speak or how slow you speak. It's the rate in which you talk. And different parts of your speech or your presentation might require you to speed up a little bit so that you can get through a little bit more information. And some parts might need you to slow down because maybe you're trying to really nail a point home so that people can really understand what you're saying. So start playing with your rate of speech when you're speaking to people. Try to speak a little bit faster, then try to speak a little bit slower. It might in the beginning seem a little bit weird, a little bit strange to start taking longer breaks in between your words, or to start speeding it up again as well. But the thing is, you need to start learning how to use this to be able to make it appropriate for whatever context you're presenting in. So that is rate of speech. Secondly, we have volume. Pretty important thing. You don't need to be yelling at people to get them to pay attention to you. But if you speak really softly, I think people start to tune out a little bit. And, once you start speaking a little bit quietly, people just, switch off. It's pretty uncomfortable, right? We've all been at parties or we've all been in places where people are speaking quietly and you're like, can you please speak a little bit louder? I'm just waiting for you to hear. I can't hear you properly. Speak a little bit louder, right? So a good place to try and set yourself is around a level 7 out of 10. This isn't too extreme and it isn't too quiet, so that you have space on either side depending on what you're trying to do. Sometimes you might really need to increase the volume of your speech, and that's okay. And sometimes you really want to get connected and really want people to lean in and listen, depending on what part of the story you're in or what part of the presentation you were in. So start to learn how to use your volume, but a good thing to start practicing is a level 7 out of 10. Now the next thing we have is pitch and melody. These go hand in hand. The pitch somewhat creates the melody, how you go up and down, the flow of the speech. Your pitch is literally down and up, down and up, down and up. And it's really strange in the beginning when you start using this part of your voice because it seems forced, it seems uncomfortable, it seems unfamiliar. Like any new skill, it will be unfamiliar in the beginning until you start practicing it. And a really good little technique to start practicing your pitch is get a book and start reading it really low and the lowest that you can go, and then start to bring it up as you get a little bit higher and you go into the falsetto and you get really, really high into your voice, and then you come back down a little bit and you go la 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 la, right? As you are speaking, as you're reading your book, start going down and up and down and up. And it's gonna start to feel really weird, but do that for 5 minutes a day, even for a week. You'll start to notice that you start to use your voice just a little bit differently. And as you get better at your pitch, you'll start to realize that you have the ability to use melody within your speeches. Melody is just the byproduct of how you use the pitch of your voice. So first practice the pitch and then worry about the melody. The next that we have is tonality. Tonality can literally be the abrasiveness of the voice and how hard you push it, and how gentle and soft and how welcoming that voice might be if you need to really try to connect. And then if you really want to push a point, you can really play with that tonality, okay? So start doing that even if you're alone in your car driving to work. Start trying to speak really softly, really soft, and just let your voice kind of go out airy and breathy. And then start playing with the grunts and the abrasiveness of it so that when you are in that position of public speaking, you're able to start pushing and pulling and pushing and pulling. And that's kind of what tonality does. It pushes and pulls you along, and the audience are going for a bit more of a journey. The next that we're going to do is play with emotion. Emotion's a little bit more difficult to teach because you need to go into a place where you are emotional in your actual body and your physiology. So start telling stories that actually make you start to well up in tears or make you really angry, and start expressing it like you would if you were actually experiencing it. Because as you start to learn to use your emotion, this is the thing that really pulls the audience in and sucks them in and gets them engaged with what you're saying. The emotion is the thing that makes them feel something, and it makes them remember more. So just practice with your own stories, your own life experience. Tell the story as if you were living it. Feel the emotion come through your body, because as you do that, people will start to relate to you. When you're on stage, sometimes you seem like you're the expert and you have to know everything and you're whatever, right? But once you start to put emotion into the equation, people start to see you as a human and relatable and connectable. And there's less of a disconnect between you and the audience. So let's go through them again. We have the rate of speech, how fast you talk and how slow you talk. We have the volume, this is how loud you speak and how soft you speak. Then we have the pitch and melody, which is literally down and up, and then that interweaves into a melody over time as you practice. And then we have the tonality, the abrasiveness or the really gentleness of the voice. And then we have the emotion, the part that makes somebody feel something. And as you start to practice these elements, you'll start to realize that your ability to speak and persuade and move people will start to change. And if you don't know where to start, just start with one. Start with one and practice one 5 minutes a day for a week. And then if you feel you're getting better at it, go to the next one. If you feel you're getting better at that, go to the next one. And over time, these 5 tips about how to use your voice are going to completely change the way that you use it. And it's also going to start to change your personality, because your voice is also your personality. Think about that. Your voice is your personality. It's the way that you speak. It's you're giving who you are. If you start to speak a little bit louder, you start to feel something more. If you start to feel, a little bit dry and bored, that's literally the state that you are in. So that's you expressing how you're feeling. So when you start to learn to use your voice, you start to learn to express your personality. And once you start to do that, people start to get more and more connected to you and the information that you're presenting. So I hope that helps. If you enjoyed it, please make sure to like and leave a comment down below. Tell me what you need to work on down in the comments. And if this does help you, please share to somebody else who it might help as well. Until next time, see you next time. Peace out.